What's up, y'all? Treasure Box Gaming here. We got a deck review from Paco Cervantes. Paco Cervantes, what did you play this weekend?
I played Spright.
And where and what did you do?
I went to Tacoma, Washington this weekend for a case tournament, and I won.
Sweet, let's see the deck.
All right, so I played Spright, and I 3 Spright Blue, 3 Spright Jet. I decided to play a little bit of a bigger Spright package. I felt that 3 Spright Red was a little more forgiving for me. I felt like this is the first time playing the deck. I wasn't going to play it the most efficiently, and I felt like a little bit of a bigger package was going to be a little more forgiving for me. I played 1 Carrot. I played 1 Pixie. I would say that this card overperformed. I felt it was really strong. It was a really good ad when your opponent would try to force you into using Elf by trying to go into battle right away. I could bring back blue, grab this, and then I had protection from battle. And if I opened it, or if I got it and my opponent, like if I had it in my hand and my opponent didn't know that I had it, it was really, really good, because then they would say, you know, they would try to go to battle to get you to use your elf. You would just go into battle, let them go into battle, and then if they attacked into the elf, you would hit them with this. And because it's like honest, it would keep the attack boost for the rest of the turn. So that part was really nice. I felt that card. I would try to play. I would even try playing 2, but that'll be for testing. For the water package, I decided to go Deep Sea Diva because I play hand traps and wanted to do the Hulk route. Triple, of course, normal. Dupe Frog, I played it, but I felt that it kind of got worse as the tournament progressed for me, only because as I gained more knowledge about what my future opponents were playing, I realized that a lot of people were on Super Poly, and this card, I don't think it's worth summoning when I know my opponent has Super Poly in their deck. It is nice for the attack protection. It is nice for the extra body, but if they're just going to Super Poly me and blow me out, I just don't think it's worth it. So I realized that I was siding it out a lot. Or I wouldn't even go into it, even if I did have it in my deck, like game 1s when I was playing against somebody who I'd seen have using Super Poly, like earlier in the tournament, I just wouldn't summon it. So as long as Super Poly is prevalent, I don't think I would play it in the main. 3 Ash, 2 Ogre, 2 Veiler, 2 Crow. I wish I would have played a third one of these. This card also overperformed as a hand trap. I was always live whenever I got it. If I saw it in multiples, it was even better. I played mostly tier this weekend, and I even played against the Despia deck in top. And I felt like I just always wanted to see that card. I wish I would have been playing 3. And then my last hand trap is just Infinite Impermanence. This card is really nice as a hand trap because it plays around triple tactics talents, which is everywhere right now. And it also, if I'm in the mirror, it plays around red, which usually is the main other, aside from Jet, people will go to red to summon red to protect you from either other hand traps or Havness. And so if my opponent is summoning red and then going to Gigantic Spright, this is a really nice hand trap to have for that. For my spells, it was 3 Spright starters. I decided to go 2 Spright Smashers for this tournament, similar to the logic for red. I just felt it was more forgiving playing 2, and also it was just nice in grind games to be able to have a second copy. And because like people rarely use a second one, at least right now, nobody expected it, so it was like a surprise factor. You know, people play around the first one, they don't play around the second. Seeing my opponent's face when I would add the second one was pretty nice. And the last in the main deck, I played 2 Tactics and 2 Desires. I liked the draws that I got with Desires in tournament, but I still think that Prosperity is superior. I don't have Prosperities, which is why I wasn't able to pick them up for the tournament, which is why I decided to go this route. But I feel like I could have just as easily not gotten as lucky as I did with my draws. In the finals, there was a moment in the last game of the finals in game 3 where I Desired away all my Spright Blues. I won that game, but it was not a good feeling being able to. I feel like that will be a game they talk about a little bit later, but it was just seeing all my Spright Blues gone, not good. For my extra deck, I played Salamangreat Elmirage. This card was all right. If I have the luxury of playing around Ogre, I would go into it, but I think I only did that twice the whole tournament, and then aside from that, it just stayed in the extra deck looking pretty. So I don't know if I'd continue to play that. I was never in a position where I had to do the swap frog route. It just never came up. I played 3 Spright Elf. I think that everybody should be playing this. If you're playing Spright, you should be playing 3 Elves. This card is nuts. In a similar situation as I was talking about previously, where they try to like force you into using this effect by trying to go into battle, you can just let them go into battle, have them kill your Spright Elf, and then next turn you just make another one. And then what that does is it wastes their battle phase, because a lot of the times what people are doing when they do that is they're trying to get you to use the Spright Elf so you don't have 2 toads anymore, in which case they can go off full combo and then kill you. So I think that having 3 is really, really nice, because then you just let them kill it, and then you have 2 more left in your back pocket for the next couple turns. I played Halki because it's nice to have a fat gigantic Spright, and because again adding hand traps to my hand is really nice. I played Dark. I think I still need to test this card more to use it more efficiently. It didn't come up. Like I put it in because I was going to try to take their Jet or their Spright. If I played the Mirror, I only played 1 Mirror, and it didn't come up against tier elements. I feel like I was prioritizing a gigantic Spright, and by that point it would literally just be like Murley that I could take, and just the situations when I could have gone into it, they just didn't have a Murley, so I didn't get to really see that card in action. And then I played the IP and the Unicorn for when my hand was bonkers. For the XEs, I have the Star of the Deck, Toad. That card is nuts. 2 gigantic Spright. Because I was testing the 3 the night before, I decided to also try to test 3 gigantic Sprights. There was one game where the 3rd one came up, and I was like, maybe I should be playing 3. And so I put it in, and then it never came up again. And so for the tournament, I decided the 2 was enough. And then just other rank 2s and Zeus. And Zeus comes up. It is nice. It is a nice card to have in this deck. Like, just be able to clear their board. For my hand traps, I decided to go with the Gamma Nib package for combo decks. I didn't play too many, but it was nice just to have that in case I did. I played 2 Ghost Bells in the side. I really like this card going first, regardless of what I'm playing against, because it protects me from Crow, which is a really prevalent card right now. And it just it's also just really good in against Tyr, against Despia, the random decks. It can be good in the mirror in specific situations where maybe you stop their what is it, their Ronin Totem, and so that they can't get the 2 Aquas on the board to make Toad. But I didn't think that was worth citing it in. I think I would have mained it if I could have fit it, but I think I would rather try to fit the 3rd Crow before I try to fit these 2 in, and I wanted to stay at 40. I have my back row hate. It's also really good against Despia. And then my going first cards were Anti-Spell. And when I was testing the night before, I actually had a pointer in, and I would use a pointer, and I would still get blown out, either because they would just kill me because I was at 6,000, or it just taking 1 card just wasn't enough. Anti-Spell shuts off all the cards that I care about, like things like Dark Ruler, Mystic Mine, and it can also protect you against Super Poly, because if you end on Elf and Toad, your opponent can't Super Poly you during the draw phase. So you flip this, you shut off their Super Poly for the next 2 turns, and then you can just summon Dupe safely, because their Super Poly is done. In the finals, actually, I said I was going to talk about that game a little bit. In the finals of the event, in game 3, my opponent Havnessed me on my turn when I had 2 attack position level 2s up right before I was going to go into Gigantic Spright, and off the Havness, they milled 2 names and a King of the Swamp. So they ended on Millenniumize Restrict and Kit Kalos. And at that point, it's those 2 cards off of 1 card, so it just did not look good for me. And I was just sitting there with 2 level 2s on board, but I had Anti-Spell. So I decided that instead of like going into something that was going to waste my cards, I just passed on an anti-spell on the 2 attack position level 2s and let him go. And it ended up being that all that my opponent was able to do was tribute the Millenniumize, run over my 2 cards, and set the rest of his hand because it was just full of spells. On my turn, I ended up drawing Swap Frog, and it was just kind of it from there. I Zeused him, I linked off into Elf, and I made Toad. So, and he had 1 card left in hand, so the game was over at that point. So that was, you know, Pointer's really good, but anti-spell is still very, very strong.
Well, sweet. Do you have any like shout outs or any thanks yous?
Yeah, of course. Huge shout out to the team, Treasure Box Gaming. Shout out to the group chat, to 10 Commandments, and shout out to Tristan Bridges, Giovanni Avalos, Ollie, Rodrigo, and Luis for going over and just testing the day before. We must have spent like 18 hours just playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And testing, and it really paid off for me. We drove 3 hours to Tacoma, and I felt very confident going into that tournament. And of course, another shout out to the recorder, Catherine Galvan Rios, and to James Kim for driving. Freaking drove us all the way over there and all the way back after being there for the entire day. So shout out to James for that.
All right. Well, you heard it first at Treasure Box Gaming. We out.